So what is intermittent leave? Sometimes you have employees that are taking CFRA or FMLA leave and they don't want to take it all at once. So intermittent leave is when the employee does not take all of their entitled leave at once, and instead the employee wants to take their leave in smaller time chunks. Is an employee entitled to do this? Well, it depends. So, if we're looking at bereavement leave, reproductive loss leave, and pregnancy disability leave, that is very common, and employees may take these leaves in smaller time chunks. It's very common when you have a pregnant employee. If a pregnant employee needs to take 3 days off for severe morning sickness, and then maybe another day for prenatal appointment, and then they're going to take additional days off for childbirth and additional days for additional appointments, doctor's ordered bed rest. All of that does not need to be consecutive. It would all be taken intermittently, and all of that would count towards that 4 months or 17 and one-third weeks of entitled leave under the pregnancy disability leave. And I think we had a question of, well, what if the employee has a doctor's note that they were sick, but the doctor's note didn't say they were pregnant, but they've told us they were pregnant. Well, this goes to, having that interactive process, having that conversation with the employee. If they're taking a leave, it qualifies under the pregnancy disability leave. So if it is a prenatal appointment, if it is a pregnancy related sickness or leave, then it would count towards their pregnancy disability leave. However, that may not have been related to their pregnancy. It may have been unrelated to their pregnancy. So again, why it's really important to have these conversations, have that interactive process ongoing. And again, we see this commonly with bereavement leave. An employee may want to take off 2 days on the onset and then take off 3 days later for funeral services. As long as the bereavement leave and the reproductive loss leave is taken within 3 months of the incident, they can split it up. Now, sometimes it becomes a little bit more questionable when it comes to FMLA or CFRA leave. For FMLA, if the employee has a serious pregnancy-related health condition and it is medically necessary, they can take it intermittently. For CFRA, if the leave is for a birth, adoption, or foster care placement of a child, it can be intermittent. It has to be concluded within 1 year, and the minimum duration is 2 weeks. However, at least twice the employer must allow leaves of less than 2 weeks. For serious health conditions of a family member or self, they can take that intermittently or on a reduced leave schedule as medically necessary. And this leave would be limited to the increments that your payroll system allows, the shortest period that your payroll system allows. However, in at least 1 month, 1 hour blocks. And it's important that we track this, and it's important to know when an employee is taking intermittent leave, because it comes into play when you're trying to determine how much leave do they have left, how much leave are they entitled to, and how they're going to be paid. So non-exempt employees, they should be paid for all hours worked. That is pretty straightforward. It's, they're working, they're being paid. Now, an exempt employee, it becomes a little tricky. Taking intermittent leave does not affect their exempt status, and the general rule is exempt employees have to be paid for any work week during which an employee does work. However, there's always an exception, and the exception comes into play here. There is deductions for hours taken as part of the intermittent or reduced schedule on leave can be deducted from an exempt employee. So, for example, if an exempt employee makes $1,600 per week, they take 2 hours of intermittent leave under CFRA for that week, you can deduct that 2 hours worth of pay, or $80, from that week. And so it's important to keep in mind that general rule, but if they are on intermittent leave, you are able to deduct for those hours that the employee is taking as part of that intermittent leave.